off again, and this time we're going to be gone 2 weeks. Started because we have a wedding to go do in Nashville, and we also wanted to spend some time on Lake Allatoona this summer at Red Top Mountain State Park. We're starting out tonight headed to North Alabama. Our real destination was supposed to be Dismals Canyon. I was trying again to see glowworms, but it's too late for glowworms. Anyway, no glowworms. Instead, we're just going to see Muscle Shoals. We're stopping tonight in Gadsden and then going on to the Muscle Shoals area tomorrow. And then Nashville for a few days. Then Mammoth Cave in Kentucky and back around to Cartersville to spend a few days hanging out on the lake. And the nicest thing about this is we got to sneak out of Atlanta. We picked up the camper and we didn't have to go back through town. We're taking the lake. This video is just going to be about the first part of the trip in northwest Alabama. This is so close to where we live, only about 4 hours total driving time to get over there. But we have never spent much time in that part of the state. We've been to Huntsville briefly, and I'd like to go back again. So on the surface, it looks very familiar. The landscape looks a lot like Georgia, but we found out that you can discover really fascinating places in your own backyard. Once we knew we were going to be spending time over here, we watched the documentary Muscle Shoals, and it's a great introduction to what you'll see in this place. 4 hours was too much to do after work on Thursday, so we started by just spending the night in Gadsden, a couple hours from home. So we've been following along the Silver Comet Trail, which is someday we're going to bike it. All of it. Boy. So this may seem like a total aside, but the Silver Comet Trail is a great trail. With the Chief Ladiga Trail in Alabama, it's about 100 miles. And just remember, this is something I've always wanted to do. It's a multi-day ride for us, and I haven't figured out the logistics before we took this trip to northern Alabama. In 1,000 feet, your destination will be on the left. Our first stop was a private RV resort in Gadsden on the Coosa River. The sites were a little small, but it was a really pretty park, well maintained, nice swimming pools, and a restaurant right on site. We're both tired and hungry.
Wow! Oh, that's a big one. That's a big one. No wonder it was.
Oh, wow!
Looks like a
catfish.
Is it catfish? I was gonna say it looks like a carp. That probably is catfish.
Does that make you want to go fishing? Maybe that's tomorrow's catfish po' boy.
Maybe. Maybe that's the night catfish.
So I found out later nobody actually eats the catfish they catch in the Coosa River right there. And I did have a catfish po' boy there. It was really good with catfish from a nice, safe, clean place. All right, so that was really nice at dinner.
It was.
This is the view from our campsite tonight. We're sitting in our little dinette.
Okay, let me take her out.
And our camper Pepper is crazy. Hello, Pepper. Hello. The next morning I was able to take the dogs for a pretty nice long walk from the park toward town. We got to go under the interstate bridge, which isn't something you get to see up close very often, so I thought that was interesting, especially all the nests. I guess those are swallows or swifts that make their nests like that. The campsite also had a nest of herons. Which we couldn't see very well, but we could certainly hear. And we did see the grown herons fishing. So, today, instead of seeing anything around here, I went back to Atlanta again. Mostly because we got a new mattress for our RV. We special ordered it from a brand called Tosca. I'll check on that. And we haven't even slept on it yet, but it arrived yesterday after we left home, of course. And we also forgot a few things. So anyway, tonight we will sleep on our new mattress for the first time, and I didn't see anything in Gadsden, just the road back to Atlanta. By the time I got back, Randy was finishing up work, and we were ready to hit the road. Oh, wow.
Lights everywhere on both sides of the road. Oh, wow, it is burning now. You can feel the heat.
Yeah, I can see the flames. Aw, I hope they weren't sure. So it's strange to pass something like that on the road. We never did learn more about it. I assume no one was hurt, and it was just a store that was sadly lost to the fire. Where are we?
Shell Creeks.
So of course it was after dark when we got into Joe Wheeler's State Park near Florence. We were in a really pretty part of the campground, quite wooded and beautiful still, but there had been a terrible tornado about a year maybe or two before, so part of the campground just looked like an open field. The park is on the Tennessee River and it's part of the Great Loop, so there's a nice marina. And in what was the first or second, I guess the fire was the second really unexpected thing I saw on this trip. It's a replica of the Pinta, one of Columbus's ships. While we were there, I visited the birthplace of Helen Keller. She was born in Tuscumbia, and the house is pretty much like it was when she lived there. You really get a feeling like you're connecting with her. You can see the pump where she first made the connection between sign language and communication. The house where they pretended she'd been sent away to learn. And oddly enough, a tree that grew from a seed that went to the moon. I'm really glad I went there. Helen Keller's story is one I'm so familiar with, it's easy to forget how remarkable she truly was. This museum also has gifts from around the world. This intricately carved gate is from the Maori people, thanking her for changing their traditional views of people with disabilities. We are headed to Rattlesnake Saloon tonight for dinner. Driving through the Shoals area of northern Alabama.
Please wait here for taxi to Saloon.
So it's very dark, but we just had the most fun night at the Rattlesnake Saloon. And it was all because they don't take cash. So we needed more cash, and this couple, dressed in Indian, like Native American, but dress clothes, offered to be our bank if we would PayPal them the cash. And we sat with them. They were a couple enjoying their anniversary. That was their wedding clothes they were wearing. Fascinating people, and much more to say about that, but just a really special night at Rattlesnake Saloon in the middle of Northwest Alabama. That's the best I can do about where we are. So this couple really had to trust us because there was no signal. We couldn't pay them back until we got a cell phone signal. But not just that. Remember when we drove along with the Silver Comet Trail and I said someday we're going to bike that whole thing? Well, this couple own a house in Piedmont, Alabama on the Chief Ladiga Trail. So we now have arranged that in April we're going to bike over there, spend the night at their house, and get the train back. Also on this lovely evening, I went to the beach and tried to see the Milky Way and was really disappointed. But that night driving back to our campsite, I got the best view of the Milky Way down this empty country road. The next day we started out going to see Tom's Wall. This place is hard to explain, but I really recommend it. This is a giant wall built by a man as a tribute to his ancestor who was displaced from this area on the Trail of Tears and then spent 5 years walking back. Her story is really amazing and it's well documented. by contemporaries of hers. Tom is no longer with us, but his son was sitting there in a simple folding chair when we drove up and was happy to explain everything about the place. Many Native American tribes now have visited and contributed more to the wall. It's really a powerful visit. If Tom's Wall is unique and powerful, it's not the only reason to go to Muscle Shoals. The main reason is, of course, music history, which I knew really nothing about until we watched the documentary. There are several studios you can tour. We only had time to tour one. We went to the Muscle Shoals Sound Studio. And if you don't know about Muscle Shoals, watch the documentary, because it is truly amazing that this little tiny town influenced rock and roll of the 20th century in such a profound way. The Rolling Stones, Bob Seger, Paul Simon, Cher, all recorded here, and that's just really the tip of the iceberg. This bathroom is where Keith Richards wrote Wild Horses. This piano is the piano you hear in the old-time rock and roll by Bob Seger. It's a town that is completely unpretentious, still laid back, a simple country town in Alabama, and without it, the music of the 20th century would have been entirely different. For lunch, we went over into Florence, so the Shoals area is Tuscumbia, Muscle Shoals, and Florence is the biggest town. All right, we're eating at Odette's, which was recommended to us by our dinner companions last night.
Looks fantastic.
The menu looks great.
Yeah.
That was a deviled egg.
Delicious.
So I got sourdough toast, watermelon salad, and what did you get, Randy?
This is a kind of a grilled cheese
On gluten-free bread.
with jalapeno with pepper jelly, and then this is a salad.
Yeah. For our last evening in the area, we decided we were going to try paddleboarding with Pepper. Pepper's a Boykin Spaniel, so she is bred to go out in boats, and she's a swimmer. She's got webbed feet, but this would be the first time we really tried her out away from shore. She sat on a paddleboard before, but we went back to the park and pumped up those inflatable paddleboards of ours, which takes a long time and makes a lot of noise, but it was worth it because we did manage to get Pepper out on the lake just at sunset. Hank had actually been swimming earlier in the day, and he was still sore from getting out on a rocky shore that made him climb a little bit more than the old boy really should be doing these days, but he doesn't know his limitations sometimes. And Maggie was just mad at us that we didn't take her, but it was too much to try both of them for the first time.
Yeah.
Walking on the trails.
Want to go up here?
Sure. You just want to do the short loop, or you
I
want to go
guess
a little
so.
bit longer?
Well, let's see. Should we?
If we go a little bit longer, this could be their only walk this morning
Yeah,
before we
okay.
leave. Okay, so we have taken the dogs for a walk, and we're going to try again. Pepper is still
A little hyper.
looking for some play. Okay. Oh, she's chewing on the... Okay.
Here's Pepper.
So we've had a great few days at Muscle Shoals. Now we're on to Nashville and more country music history and a wedding that we're going to.
That was something.
We'll
Maybe
try.
it's probably
Okay,
following.
like fifth time a charm.
Take 5.
Yeah. Anyway, love the music history. I keep thinking of the word authentic, but that word is so overused. But
Still.
that is the right word for this area and for... oh, Maggie's drinking. Oh, it was empty.
We'll let her.
She's not really drinking
We'll
coffee
let her
because
clean that
it's
out.
already empty.
Yeah.
She does try to steal coffee, but there's no coffee right now. There she is. You're not trying to get my breakfast, are you? And before you know it, it was time for us to leave this really special place.
Almost ready to go. Dogs are in the car. Air conditioning's on, and now we just have to finish looking.
Shining over clear as a California day. Oh, it's the first night of the rest of our lives, and there's a wildfire above us when the sun goes down.
We wanted to stop one more time and see the TVA Dam a little bit more close up. There is a park there. We ended up not really seeing the dam that much, but we were glad we stopped. There were a lot of water birds, and it was a pretty park to walk around and fly the drone. Where do you think we should park? Just maybe right here?
With the boat trailers, maybe. Oh, right there. That looks good.
Oh, the boat trailers. Where are they? Oh, up there.
Straight up, but actually,
That looks like below. So Pepper is going crazy to get in the lake now that she's a veteran paddleboarder. There's a heron, egret down there.
pull my arm off.
So pretty. During our stay here, I'd started to feel like this corner of Alabama was enchanted. And even as we left, there was one more piece of serendipity ahead of us. It turned out the way to go from Muscle Shoals to Nashville is along the Natchez Trace, which is such a pretty road to drive. We didn't really stop and read any of the signs or think about what we were doing, but it was a really pretty drive. And somehow it seemed really fitting that the way we left this special corner of the Southeast was on a special road.
Keeps coming alive.